Welcome back to Learning Nails and Aesthetics. Come on in, friends. We are in the Milady Aesthetics book, the chapter glossary. It's chapter 3, Physiology and Histology of the Skin Foundations. So this will be fun for some pronunciation. Like I've said before, laugh along with me. I am not AI, but we will work on this together. Chapter Glossary. Chapter 3. Epicrine glands, coiled structures attached to hair follicles found in the underarm, axillary, and genital areas, secrete sweat. Erector pili muscle, small involuntary muscle in the base of the hair follicle that causes goose flesh when the appendage contracts, sometimes called goosebumps, and papillary. Barrier function. Protective barrier of the epidermis. The corneum and intercellular matrix protect the surface from irritation and dehydration. Bilayers. A thin polar membrane made of 2 layers of lipid molecules. These membranes are flat sheets that form a continuous barrier around all cells. Ceramides. Glycolipid materials that are a natural part of the skin's intercellular matrix and barrier function. Collagen, fibrous connective tissue made from proteins, found in the reticular layer of the dermis, gives skin its firmness. Topically, a large long-chain molecule protein that lies in the top of the skin and binds water, derived from the placentas of cows and other sources. Cuperose, redness, capillaries that have been damaged and are now longer or distended, blood vessels commonly seen with telangiectasia. I knew how to pronounce these words at one time. Corneocytes, another name for the stratum corneum cell. Hardened, waterproof, protective keratinocytes. These dead protein cells are dried out and lack nuclei. Dermal papillae, membranes of ridges and grooves that attach to the dermis, contains nerve endings and supplies nourishment through capillaries to skin and follicles. Dermis, also known as the derma, corneum, cutis, or true skin, support layer of connective tissue, collagen, and elastin below the epidermis. Desmosomes, the structure that assists in holding cells together, intercellular connections made of proteins. Eccrine glands, sweat glands found all over the body with openings on the skin's surface through pores, not attached to hair follicles. Secretions do not produce an offensive odor. Elastin, protein fiber found in the dermis, gives skin its elasticity and firmness. Epidermal growth factor, abbreviated EGF, stimulates cells to reproduce and heal. Epidermis, outermost layer of the skin, a protective layer with many cells, mechanisms, and nerve endings, is made up of 5 layers: stratum germinativum, stratum spinosum, stratum granulosum, stratum lucidum, and stratum corneum. Eumelanin. Are you serious? That is a weird one because it's spelled Umelanin. But when they have the pronunciation underneath that, it says Yoomelunin. Is that not eumelanin? A type of melanin that is dark brown to black in color. People with dark colored skin produce mostly eumelanin. There are 2 types of melanin. The other type is phenmelanin. Fibroblasts, cells that stimulate collagen and produce cells that stimulate collagen production and amino acid that form proteins to aid in healing. Folliculitis, hair follicles, and sebaceous follicles are tube-like openings in the epidermis. Glycation, caused by an elevation in blood sugar. Glycation is the binding of a protein molecule to a glucose molecule, resulting in the formation of damaged, non-functioning structures known as advanced glycation, and products also known as ages. Glycation alters protein structure and decreases biological activity. Glucosaminoglycans, large protein molecules and water-binding substances found between the fibers of the dermis. GAGs are polysaccharide proteins and sugar complexes. They work to maintain and support collagen and elastin in the cellular spaces, keeping protein fibers in balance. Hair papilla, cone-shaped elevations at the base of the follicle that fit into the hair bulb. Papilla are filled with tissue that contains the blood vessels and cells necessary for hair growth and follicle nourishment. High energy visible light, abbreviated as HEV, light emitting from electronic devices, reported to penetrate the skin more deeply than UV rays, damages collagen, hyaluronic acid, and elastin. Hyaluronic acid, hydrating fluids found in the skin, hydrophilic agent with water binding properties. Hydrolipidic film is an oil-water base balance that protects the skin's surface. Intercellular matrix, lipid substances between corneum cells that protect the cells from water loss and irritation. Keratin, fibrous protein of cells that is also the principal component of skin, hair, and nails, provides resiliency and protection. Keratinocytes, epidermal cells composed of keratin, lipids, and other proteins. Langerhans, immune cells, guard cells of the immune system that sense unrecognized foreign invaders such as bacteria and then process these antigens for removal through the lymph system. I have noticed that that word Langerhans is capitalized, so I am assuming that that is a person's last name who discovered this thing. I've always meant to look into it, but I never have. If you're interested in looking into that, I definitely will. Lamellar glands. Granules. Oh my goodness. Organelles secreted from the keratinocytes, resulting in the formation of an impermeable lipid-containing membrane that serves as a water barrier and required for correct skin barrier function. These bodies release components that are required for skin shedding in the stratum corneum. Leukocytes, white blood cells that have enzymes to digest and kill bacteria and parasites, also respond to allergies. Lymph vessels, located in the dermis, supply nourishment within the skin and remove waste. Melanin, tiny grains of pigment, coloring matter, that are produced by melanocytes and deposited into cells in the stratum germinativum, layers of the epidermis, and in the papillary layers of the dermis, a protein that determines hair, eye, and skin color, produced as a defense mechanism to protect skin from the sun. Melanocytes, cells that produce skin pigment granules in the basal layer. Melanosomes, pigment-carrying granules that produce melanin, a complex protein. Papillary layer, top layer of the dermis next to the epidermis. Pheomelanin, a type of melanin that is red and yellow in color. People with light-colored skin produce mostly pheomelanin. Two types of melanin. The other is eumelanin. It's not my melanin, it's eumelanin. That just cracks me up. That just doesn't seem right. I'm going to have to look into that further. Pores, tube-like opening for sweat glands on the epidermis. Reticular layer, deeper layer of the dermis that supplies the skin with oxygen and nutrients. Contains fat cells, blood vessels, sudoriferous, which are sweat glands, hair follicles, lymph vessels, erector pili muscles, sebaceous, which are oil glands, and nerve endings. Rosacea, chronic condition that appears primarily on the cheeks and nose and is characterized by flushing, which is redness. Why is this word giving me such a hard time? Telangiectasis, distended or dilated surface blood vessels, and in some cases the formations of papules and pustules. Sebaceous glands, also known as oil glands, protect the surface of the skin, appendages connected to follicles. Sebum, oil that provides protection for the epidermis from external factors and lubricates both the skin and hair. Stratum corneum, also known as horny layer, outermost layer of the epidermis composed of corneocytes. Stratum germinativum, also known as the basal cell layer, active layer of the epidermis above the papillary layer of the dermis. Cell mitosis takes place here to produce new epidermal skin cells, which are responsible for growth. Stratum granulosum, also known as granular layer, layer of the epidermis composed of cells filled with keratin that resemble granules, replaces cells shed from the stratum corneum. Stratum lucidum, clear transparent layer of the epidermis under the stratum corneum, thickest on the palms of the hands and soles of the feet. Stratum spinosum, also known as the spiny layer, layer of the epidermis above the stratum germinativum, basal layer containing desmosomes, the intercellular connections made of proteins. Subcutaneous layer, also known as hypodermis. Subcutaneous adipose tissue, which is fat tissue, located beneath the dermis. Protective cushion, energy storage for the body. Subcutaneous, that's not even what that says. Tissue, also known as adipose tissue, fatty tissue found below the dermis that gives smoothness and contour to the body, contains fat for use as energy, and also acts as a protective cushion for the outer skin. Sudoriferous glands, also known as sweat glands, excrete perspiration, regulate body temperature, and detoxify the body by excreting excess salt and unwanted chemicals. T cells identify molecules that have foreign peptides, help regulate immune response. Telangiectasis, oh my goodness, T-E-L-E, I even got that wrong, Telangiectasia, underneath has it spaced out, telangiectasia. Capillaries that have been damaged and are now larger or distended. Blood vessels commonly called Cooperose skin. Transdermal water loss, abbreviated TEWL. Water loss caused by evaporation on the skin surface. Tyrosinase, the enzyme that stimulates melanocytes and thus produces melanin. UVA radiation, also known as aging rays, longer wavelength ranging between 320 and 400 nanometers that penetrate deeper into the skin than UVB, cause genetic damage and cell death. UVA contributes up to 95% of the sun's ultraviolet radiation. UVB radiation, also known as burning rays, UVB wavelength ranges between 290 and 320 nanometers. UVB rays have shorter burning wavelengths that are stronger and more damaging than UVA rays. UVB causes burning of the skin, as well as tanning, skin aging, and cancer. And that brings us to the end of Chapter 3. I hope this was helpful to you. Please check out my other videos. Reading 2 other books, the Milady Nails book, as well as their Foundations book. Have a great day. I appreciate you watching, and these videos will continue beginning with Chapter 4. Thanks. Bye.